Okay, so I just finished watching Lightyear. And I mean, I just like 5 minutes ago finished watching this movie. It was an hour and 45 minutes. It felt like it was 2 hours and 45 minutes. It. I remember when the movie was announced, kind of looking forward to it because I'm a big Toy Story fan. It's all four movies, because I know a lot of people don't care for Toy Story 4. I get why, but I disagree. I think it's phenomenal. I think it is just as good as 1, 2, or 3. I feel like it still has its place, even with the basically perfect ending that is Toy Story 3. The existence of 4 still makes sense to me. And the idea of, like, okay, this is like, excuse me, while Woody has Woody's Roundup, this is what Buzz has. That's not a terrible idea of like, all right, if this is the super popular toy, this is where the toy came from. Cool, but I've already seen that. I've seen Buzz Lightyear from Star Command. I actually grew up watching the cartoon. It wasn't like one of my all-time favorites, it wasn't like Animaniacs or anything like that, but I did watch it. I remember having a lot of fun with it, and I had seen the movie. I'm used to evil Emperor Zurg being, well, to just being Zurg and not... Full spoilers. Let me just go and do that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Do you even really care? It's fucking Lightyear. Anyways, here's the spoilers. I'm used to Zurg being Zurg and not an old, evil asshole Buzz in a purple suit that doesn't even look that good. I actually don't think the movie looks very good. To me, it looks very drab. Like, I've seen some, like, it's fucking Pixar, dude. Pixar is super colorful. Like, look at something like Inside Out. It's gorgeous. It pops. Something like Luca. I mean, say what you will about Turning Red. I'm pretty mixed on the film overall. But it just looks pretty. It looks alive. This movie, just looking at it makes me sad. And looking at Buzz and his Jay Leno chin and trying to make him look like a more realistic person. Sorry, there's a fly. Just looks wrong to me. Like, literally just seeing him in the suit, I'm like, that's not Buzz Lightyear. I don't know what the fuck this is. I don't know what bullshit you're trying to sell me. That is not Buzz Lightyear. And I don't think Chris Evans is doing a bad job voicing him. Like, I think that's fun. Like, no, this does not sound like Buzz Lightyear, but I'm not going to be super mad about that. But whenever he just says lines from Toy Story, it just reminds me that I'm watching a cheap imitation. That I'm watching something amazing and it's like cheap knockoff for money, which is funny because in universe, this is supposed to be the great work. And then the toy is supposed to be, you know, the cheap knockoff to sell shit. Kind of ironic how that works out. Let me talk about the things I like about the movie. It's gonna be quick. The first thing, I can think of 3 off the top of my head. The first, as I told Clay partway through, is that it does not have the words toy or story in the title. So as I said, I'm contractually able to hate it. And the fact that that's genuinely one of my favorite things about the movie is a really fucking bad sign. Number 2, I liked socks. I like cats. My boyo's right over there. So just a fun little robot companion. I appreciate that. I think Socks is not always super funny, but he's not unfunny. Like, I think the companions are, especially the coward dude with the pen. Oh my gosh, like, I just did not care for him. I just did not care for the new crew. They're not awful. They just kind of did nothing for me and were frequently actively unhelpful, while occasionally like, oh look, you actually did something to justify your existence in the movie. You know, I feel like I'm supposed to think that Buzz is an asshole for going like, hey, I don't work with rookies. Rookies fucking suck. But I mean, no, he's kind of got a point. But the other thing I really liked about the movie, like genuinely, no bullshit, is I did like Alicia Hawthorne. The little bit she is in the movie. I like her friendship with Buzz. I like the chemistry they have. The part of the movie when it has that montage of Buzz trying to reach hyperspeed so we can get everyone out of there. Let me put a pin in there because the plot of this movie is fucking stupid. But when he's, keeps doing that, and it's only like a few minutes, it's like 4 minutes for him, but it's 4 years back on the planet. I can't say Earth, I don't know what the fucking planet it is. And every time he gets back down, everything is aged, everything is changed. And his friend's a little older, and then she's engaged, and then I believe she's pregnant and married, and then she has a son, and then you see the son grow up, and then she has a granddaughter. And then the last time Buzz comes back, I guess the penultimate time, but the penultimate time he comes back, she's not there. And there's a message from her being like, yeah, you'll probably be back in about a year or two, and I won't be. That part of the movie is great. I don't know if I've ever talked about the movie Interstellar on this channel. I don't like it. It's a really long movie that to me feels very up its ass, and I think it looks gorgeous, but I just felt almost nothing for the people in the movie. However, the scene where McConaughey is watching all those video logs from his daughter as she is growing up without him, and at first she's kind of okay with it, but she misses him, and then by the end she's just lambasting him for abandoning her when she needed him most. That part is amazing. And I will, as much as I don't like that movie, I will never not defend that part of it. And for me, it's the same thing in Lightyear. I think the movie's dog shit. I really do. That part is good. Now let me take this plot-sized pin out of the wall. So, the plot of the movie is thus. Star Command gets stuck on a planet, partially because Buzz is a bit of a hothead, and he fucked up, driving part of the ship, and part of it got knocked off, and they weren't able to take off. I think it's he destroyed part of the engine, or the fuel capacitor, some shit. And it feels like it's because he got a little too cocky. But shit happens, he's like, okay, this was my mistake, I want to fix it. This is a hostile planet. We should not stay here any longer than necessary. I want to get us off. And so every time he does these, these test flights, he's trying to get them up to hyperspeed. Because if you can go to hyperspeed, you can go fast enough to, go through a wormhole or whatever the fuck, you can get off this rock. But you got to make sure you've got the right engine, you have the right fuel source, crystallic fusion. By the way, what's the line from Toy Story? It's have your people discovered crystallic fusion? Do you still use fossil fuels? Underrated line from the movie. Makes me laugh every time. Basically, everything Buzz does in the first Toy Story movie makes me laugh every time. Unlike this, where did I laugh? I feel like I chuckled a few times. I maybe giggled. I probably cracked a few smiles. I couldn't tell you when. Again, compared to any Toy Story movie, I'm yeah, I was laughing, I was actively laughing, there I was actively crying, and then here I was just begging for it to be... It's not that I was begging for it to be over, I was begging for it to be something. For me to get invested, for me to really care. And there's those few minutes with that montage where I'm here we go. Movie is getting good. I started shiny hunting and I actively stopped to pay attention because I was hoping the movie would get good. And it was all fucking downhill from there. But regardless, so Buzz is doing these test flights to see if their fuel source is strong enough to get fast enough. And he keeps failing, and every time he does, it's 4 years later on Earth. On the planet. I'm probably going to call it Earth by mistake, so the home planet. And every time, like I said, 4 years have passed, and you get the sense that, okay, if this was such a hostile, we need to get the fuck off this rock planet, these people would be dead. They would be Buzz, we need this, man. You gotta fix this. This place is awful. They seem really well adjusted. His friend's happy. She even kind of saying, Buzz, you don't need to do this. The implication is, we're fine. We can stay here. And Buzz being so arrogant, I have to do this because it's my mistake that we're here. Yeah, but we like being here. No. It's my mistake. I have to fix my mistake, okay? Okay, Gonna miss you, though. I mean, it's only like a few minutes for you, but, it's 4 fucking years without me seeing my best friend, and, it would have been really nice if you were there at my wedding, or, like, my anniversaries, or, I don't know, like, anything, but sure, Buzz, do what you gotta do. Like, that's how it feels. And then, finally, when he gets back, his friend is dead, there's a new commander, who basically tells me, like, yeah, like, you're not doing this again, Buzz. Like, we're fine. Yeah, there's still some hostile shit, but, like, we've made a shield, we have, like, this big laser dome, which will keep things from getting in. We don't need you for this. You're good. And Buzz going, like, no, I have to do this, so he fucking steals a ship, steals some other shit, and goes on one last test flight, and it's successful. Then he comes back, and I believe at that point it was 22 years later when he lands, and so his friend's granddaughter is now in the Corps. She's a space ranger, and there's a big robot ship which just showed up, and this is the Zurg ship. Oh, this is so stupid. So this is one of the dumbest things I think I've ever seen in a movie. In anything, actually. So whenever the robots talk, the only thing they're capable of saying is Bzurg. Not even just Zurg, it's Bzurg. And I remember looking at it and going, oh, that's how he got the name Zurg. It's because they're trying to say Buzz, because I know the twist, and for some reason, they can't. And so, okay. And then, yeah, he explains it. He's like, yeah, these guys can't say the word Buzz, so I guess I'm Zurg now. I almost turned the movie off. I'm gonna be completely honest. I had to talk myself into finishing this shit show, because that explanation is... Clay was watching Raiders of the Lost Ark the other day. That's what that feels like, that line. It feels like I opened the Ark of the Covenant to see something great, hoping this movie would have something for me, and instead I found something in there. It was something so holy, it destroyed them by its mere presence. Here it was something so stupid, I felt my brain melting through my eyes. You go by Zurg because the robots, and by the way, every other fucking time in this movie, there has been a robot. Whether it's Sox, whether it's Ivan the autopilot, whether it was the one that was trying to give them directions and seemed a bit confused. Every other fucking robot in this movie. Eloquent. They articulate wonderfully. Maybe they'll stutter a little bit, maybe. But when they say a word or a syllable, it makes perfect sense. But somehow these can't say Buzz. And they don't even just go bzz, bzz. Somehow B-U-Z-Z becomes B-Z-E-R-G. I know I'm overreacting to this. I know it's not a big deal. I really do. But it just bothers me how stupid this is. Oh shit, let's make Buzz the villain of the movie. Why? Because it'll be a crazy twist. Well, the bad guy's name is Zurg. Oh shit, why is Buzz gonna call himself Zurg? Guys, I got it. What if, now hear me out for a second, the robots that he uses, unlike every other robot in the movie, can't say Buzz, they only say Bzurg, and so he calls himself Zurg. That's brilliant. That's what we're gonna do. So anyways, back to the plot. Old Buzz is... Fuck, this is so dumb. When old Buzz stole the starship, or stole the ship, and got to hyperspeed, when he came back, he was court-martialed. Because, he stole a ship, and stole technology, and violated a superior order from his commanding officer. That actually tracks. That makes perfect sense. So as he's surrounded by people trying to arrest him, he says, fuck you, and goes back in the ship, because I guess they didn't shoot him down or anything. Then he has spent the last 50 years, I think is what they said. I could be wrong about that. But the next 50 odd years essentially trying to perfect time travel so he can go back to the past a la Samurai Jack to stop his mistake so he can be a space ranger again. But but when he went back to the past, he didn't really? Because that's not what happened to Buzz when he came back, because Buzz came back 20 years later. I don't know. Maybe it's because of the Zurg shit going on, and that's why things are different. But the way it was explained in the movie feels less like you time traveled into the past and more that you space traveled to another universe. That's why things worked a little differently here. Buzz took longer to get back from space travel than he did. That's why, like, they weren't as ready for him. Like, this is why things played out a little differently, okay? You did not travel back in time, you just traveled to another universe. Like, okay, that is not explained, but that's how it feels. He's like, yeah, dude, like, I came back and things are already different. Your experience has been really different. We could do this again and then things will be super different. We can save everyone. And then Buzz at this point is like, yeah, but I have a connection with Izzy, who's Alicia's granddaughter, and her friends. And it's very clear to me that if I change things, they won't exist. At the very least, Izzy won't, because Alicia did say to her at one point, like, yeah, if we hadn't crash landed on this place, I wouldn't have met my wife. And, if I didn't meet my wife, I wouldn't have, settled down. I wouldn't have had a family, etc., etc., etc. Now, I, as the viewer, look at that and go, yeah, you probably shouldn't try to fucking erase these people. Now, I don't particularly care for them, but that doesn't mean I am wishing a cessation of existence upon them. I'm not a monster. But I don't quite buy that Buzz would think that. Now again, let me rephrase that. It's like, I don't think that Buzz is so much of a monster to go like, well, I want them all dead. But I don't feel like I feel so close to these people that I have to protect them. Especially because, as we have seen, he is very selfish. He is very arrogant. And his future self is like, yeah, who gives a shit? They don't really matter. Being a space ranger again is what matters. What Alicia wanted, what our friend wanted, was to go out into space again, Buzz. She wanted to be a ranger again, Buzz. She didn't want this shitty life that she had. She wanted the life that she could have had. And if we fix this, we can give it to her. Why don't you understand? Now, again, he's very clearly the villain. He's a selfish piece of shit. But I don't really buy that our hero doesn't agree with him at this point. Especially because his last interaction with Izzy and the crew was her monumentally fucking up. There's also the fact that when old Buzz is like, yeah, I time travel back and things have already changed. So I'm like, so if he does time travel back again, there'll still be two, old Buzz wants his Space Ranger life back. However, when he time traveled, there were two Buzzes. Current Buzz and future Buzz. They didn't combine and future Buzz didn't take over young Buzz's body or anything. So even if his plan is successful, I go back in time, I fix shit, he'd be fixing it for another version of Buzz, but not for himself. Which maybe theoretically he's fine with, but I don't think so. I feel like this is a guy who's like, I want this for me, not I want this for us as a collective Lightyear. So that doesn't really make sense, and if things are already different, and this is more of crossing into other universes, if he does fix shit, the people that current Buzz knows would still exist, because they wouldn't be erased because it's a different universe that got affected? I think The movie doesn't go into that potential, so maybe I am completely overthinking it. But honestly, as fucking awful as this sounds to say, I think I'm putting more thought into it than they did. This movie, to me, was just... I genuinely feel like I wasted time watching it. I went in not thinking it would be good. And of course, there was always that possibility that I biased my own viewing. That, you should have went in with an open mind. If you wanted to like it, you would have liked it. Okay, but there's things I've went in wanting to like and I didn't. I wanted to like One Punch Man, I just didn't find it funny. I went into Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken, wanting to really like it and love it, and while I did enjoy it, I don't think it's that great. It is just it's a movie that does appeal to me, but it has its problems. This is a movie that just doesn't appeal to me, and it has its problems. I think it's a plot that doesn't really make sense or hold up under any scrutiny. I don't feel a connection to the characters. Do I want them to get erased? No, I'm not a monster, but I don't, care about them. Did I find their endearing banter to be funny? No, I just kind of wanted it to stop so I could get through the movie faster. Did I like the look of the movie? No, like I said, it's just so drab and lifeless, and it just looks wrong. I have to genuinely ask myself if this is my least favorite Pixar movie. I've said previously that I don't really care for Up, and I stand by that. But there's a lot of things in Up that I think are really, really good. Cars 2, I think, is actively bad, but it's a very entertaining bad, so I don't hate it. I think Brave is awful, and I think The Good Dinosaur is far worse. But are those movies better than Lightyear? Are they worse than Lightyear? Or they seem tears Lightyear? I don't know. I feel like it's easily in my... There might be a Pixar movie I'm forgetting that I really don't like. But I feel like those are the strong bottom three. Good Dinosaur to me is worse than Brave. Lightyear might actually be my least favorite. I didn't like it. Now, if you did, and I know I went really hard into how much I did not like this, and there are a lot of things in the movie I said I think are fucking stupid, and I do think they are stupid, just to me. But again, we all come in with our own biases, we have our own opinions. You can like this movie, and that does not mean if someone's like, no, I liked the movie, and I'm like, well, then I think you're stupid. It just means you had a different experience with it, and if you did like it, I am curious to know what it was. What was it about the movie that appealed to you? Maybe the plot worked for you in a way that it just couldn't quite click for me. Maybe you did find a lot more sympathy in the characters. Comedy is, I think, one of the most subjective things ever. I did not find it funny. Someone else easily could have found it funny, and hey, that's awesome. It means they had a good experience. If you did watch the movie, I hope you liked it. I hope you had a good experience. I hope you weren't as miserable throughout it as I was. But, that's really it. So at this point, hi Joes, I am caught up on Pixar. Unfortunately, the last two movies I saw... Well, okay, this one I really didn't like. I liked Elemental a lot more, man. Which, again, I know that's a movie people are very mixed on. So, you might have loved Lightyear, hated Elemental, and I'm the exact opposite. But, I don't know if they have anything else coming out this year. I don't think so. I know DreamWorks has 2. Disney has 1 at the end of the year. I think Elemental is Pixar's only offering. But, I guess that's kind of it. I don't think I'll have any other videos until the car talk this Thursday, so I guess I'll see you then.